Hello, everyone, and welcome to another short conversation at the Good Branding Podcast. Today's subject is how to get started with research. Research is the most fundamental part of your process, and you should be really excited about it. And if you're not, I'm going to try to make you excited about it. It's in research that you're going to understand who you can really be, like how to optimize and how to maximize everything that you have to give through your brand, through your services. In research, we're going to understand the universe we belong to. Yes, it's a universe. It's not a planet or a city. It's a universe. That universe includes your competition. What are they doing? What are the good practices? What are the terrible ones? How do they talk about themselves? Also about your consumer. Who is your consumer? What other brands this consumer is buying and engaging with? And also a little bit about the environment where this brand is going to belong to, which dictates a lot about a brand's personality. Looking at those 3 points, the most important thing is that you're going to start understanding all the potential that it's out there. Not only out there in the world, but also in you. Through research, we're going to understand, hey, I can do this better. Hey, I can do this very different than everybody else. Or look, nobody's doing what I want to do. Those are extremely exciting and inspirational information for you to start creating a brand that really resonates everything that you want to, but also it resonates to other people in the same way it does to you. And this is the tricky part. A lot of the brands that I work with, they are so excited about their product. They're so excited about this new lifestyle they created for themselves. And sometimes they have a very hard time translating that excitement to their consumer, to their products, to their brand. That's why in research, it's a great way for you to start getting involved with all of the potential so you know when it's time to create and when it's time to communicate, you know exactly what is it that makes you powerful and what is it that really resonates with your consumers and everybody out there. Research is not only giving you the fundamental basis to start your business, but it gives you so much more depth and insight into the potentials and everything that it's out there that you can grab, bring to your brand, and make it valuable. Research should be a common practice of your brand forever. It's not because you finished creating your brand that you're done with research. Research will always open new doors for you, make you see new potential, make you see new opportunities. Please keep doing it. So start your research by studying your competition. Who is out there? Who is doing things similar to what you want to do? Who is also in your category but is doing a terrible job? The positive and the negative examples are super important. They are the guidelines for what is out there. Of course, you want to exceed and you want to be much better than these brands, even the better ones. But studying them in detail will help you to understand what does it mean to be better than them. Okay, so find out how do they describe themselves, what's the nomenclature they use. Write that down from the good and the bad ones, brands, I mean. Research the services and the products they provide. How do they look like? What are the positive things and negative things? Sometimes you are researching a brand that you're not really a big fan of, but they have a phrase that inspires you. Write that down. Usually, what I suggest is to create mood boards. Mood boards are a great visual and sensorial way of understanding your segment and the universe of your brand. So, if you're going to create mood boards, put the name of the brand that you are researching on top. Write the key points that you liked and disliked about this brand or that got your attention or inspired you, and attach pictures. You can use InDesign, you can use Illustrator or PowerPoint or Keynote to create those mood boards. It's for you, so just use the tool that you prefer, and attach pictures that represent this brand to you. It could be, oh, I really dislike their logo. Like, use the bad examples or good examples. The idea of this mood board of this one brand is to give you a sense of what that brand represents to your consumer and to the world. Do that with the negative brands, positive brands. Find out nomenclature is really important. You want to make sure that you understand the nomenclature of your category. And when I say category, I mean the competition that belongs to the same place as you. They sell the same product or same services. Understand the nomenclature. What is the common nomenclature? But also try to understand what are the new words that are coming up, what are the newest brands are calling themselves. It's very important for you to understand this terminology and this tone of voice, because you want to make sure as a good brand, if you're the only one in your category, that you are very different, that your story is very different from the story of your category. And that you can understand by reading their copy on their website, on their Instagram, understanding how do they describe themselves, how do they describe their products. This is key for you to know how to create something original. And it has to be original because you are a good brand, right? So what you're doing is kind of what your category is doing, but in a much better quality, with much better values. Create those mood boards. You don't have to deeply analyze. All you have to do is see what's happening, observe what's happening, and put that in your mood board. At the end of this task, you should have at least, I recommend, 5 to 10 competitors that you analyze in depth, and good and bad brands. Okay, so by the end of this task, you should understand what is the common nomenclature, who are the good players, who are the bad players. And the nice thing is that even though you didn't extremely analyze it, you can already get a taste of opportunity. What is it that nobody is doing? What is it that is going to happen when your good brand comes in? You're going to be a player in your category that will change and shake things up. And by the end of your research, you should know exactly what does it mean to be the player that shakes things up. What does that shake sounds and feels like? The second part of your research is the consumer universe. Your consumer is in the center, and we're going to study everything that your consumer relates to in their universe when it comes to brands. So an example is your consumer is going to the supermarket. Let's say your product's being sold at a supermarket. They put you in their little basket, and they put other brands together with you in their basket. At the end, at the checkout, when you see all the brands that this consumer is buying, you understand a little bit better what is the universe of that consumer. What is it that they're looking for in products? What is it that they like and that they dislike? And they start to show what kind of personality they have. Thanks to social media, there is great ways of studying your consumer without having to leave the house. Back in the days, we had to stand in a supermarket. We had to go out in the streets to understand the behavior of that consumer. But now we can just sit comfortably, sipping some coffee, and find out who they are through social media, especially. So here's what you do. Instead of looking at their basket at the supermarkets, find out a brand from your competitors that you already researched. Go to their website, especially in this case, let's use the good brands. And usually good brands have great engagement with their consumers on social media. So go to their Instagram, check a post, check the comments, and try to see who comments. If you see a person that has a great engagement, go check their Instagram page. Usually they're public, so I guess they know people are going to check them out. So just go to their Instagram, see if you can observe any other brands that they relate to. It could be fashion brands, food brands, cars, makeup. Just try to understand what kind of products they are showing off in their lifestyle, and these are going to be called your sister brands. So try to do that with a bunch of consumers from different brands. let's say you have 6, 7, 8 people, you can also create mood boards of those brands that you found out. So at the end of this, you're going to say, well, that consumer that I would like to attract, because they're consumers of good brands, also like to buy this brand and this brand and this brand. When you understand who these brands are, they could be food brands, and all of these new brands will bring you an idea, a bigger idea of the world that you belong to. So create mood boards also for these brands, write down their names. Here, nomenclature is important, but more towards on how they describe themselves as being a good brand. So you can start to learn and understand what are the words and what's the tone of voice of describing that. There will be brands that you're gonna like more, brands that you're gonna like less. That's always important to know the extremes. So create mood boards for them. Write down the things that you thought were interesting about them, the things you didn't like. It's also nice to add pictures so you start to understand how that universe looks like, smells like, tastes like. Colors, logos, photography, pictures of the packaging. This part is delicious because it's basically the beginning of you seeing yourself exist in that universe. So, understanding each and every one of these brands around you will give you a more clear picture of your consumer and of the world they are swimming in. So, your consumer is relating to all of these brands. And because they're good brands, it shows so much more about their lifestyle and about their personality. So, there's a lot of little details for you to learn in this phase of the project. So, you have your mood boards ready. uh, the first part of your research was about your competition. Now the second part is about your consumers universe and all your sister brands. And now the third and last part of today's research conversation is your brand's environment. The environment is where your brand or product finally gets to interact with your consumer. That could be in the supermarket, in your own store, online, it can be through your shop, it can be through Instagram. This environment where your brand is going to interact with your consumer is key for you to understand the final shape of the personality this brand should have. So a brand that has, for example, a brand that has its own stores have less responsibility or needs towards packaging, because you have a store and you have a person to sell that product, so you don't need to overcrowd your packaging with information. That's completely different when you're selling in the supermarket, when there is no environment to support you, so your package is everything. When you sell it online, you need a different type of communication. You need to be a very vocal brand so people want to engage with you, want to follow you. So it depends on the environment that you're gonna engage with your consumer. Your personality is gonna be a little bit different. So, how to start? Find out what the environment of engagement is. Is it online? Is it gonna be your own shop? Is it gonna be through Instagram? Are you gonna do deliveries? Understand what the environment is and start researching other brands that operate in the same environment as you. So if you are in a shelf in the supermarket, there are other brands around you taking part on the same environment. Understand how do they behave, analyze their packaging, analyze their websites, how they communicate. If your environment is Instagram, analyze other brands like you that take part on the same environment. There again, we're gonna look for how do they call themselves, how do they interact, how do they promote themselves, analyze their tone of voice. There is a lot to learn from other brands that take part in the same environment as you. Again, create mood boards. Take the key points that you found on each of these brands that you study, bring to your mood board. That's going to help you understand a little bit more about this environment that you are going to exist. The environment research gets a little bit more technical, but there also you're going to find a lot of information about how you should behave. So you are going to create the product that you love, you are going to be able to communicate all the things that you want, but then when it comes to the environment, we're going to understand how to do that. What's the best way to communicate what you want in that environment? So environment is key for you. Most of the brands that I work with are now just communicating on social media. That is great from one side because it's for free and you have control of it and you can post as many times as you want. But at the same time, there is a very important part of posting, which is, are these posts saying what you want to say? Is this brand behaving the way you want to behave? Most of the brands are really worried about being that Instagram brand that has this many followers, but they start losing a little bit of their personality. So understand, see if you see any brands doing that. Those are very negative points in my opinion, because followers are great, but if you have one follower that comes to your Instagram and they get a complete sense of who you are and what you stand for, that connection right there is very, very valuable. So I find this part of research extremely interesting because it sets limitations for you. While the other parts of research, competition and consumer universe will show you how special you will be and can be and where the opportunities are, when it comes to your environment, you're going to get a set of limitations. And knowing these limitations in advance helps you to build and design a brand that operates in a very high level within those limitations. So this is just more power to your brand. You can prepare your tone of voice, your expression to fit perfectly within those limitations in that environment that you're going to operate. So now you have your mood boards ready. They're all visual. They're very simple to analyze. Get used to doing mood boards. Mood boards are extremely inspiring to create, and they help you in your creativity. Maybe you think you're not a creative person, but you are because you are creating a brand. So you are a creative person. This will help you to understand your world in a more sensorial way. So it's basically analyzing these three parts, observing how those three parts behave. But by the end of it, because you've done it consistently and you've done the three parts, you're going to start getting a lot of insights. And here comes the next phase, the insight phase. Like, oh, so I analyze, this is what I really want to do, what I don't want to do. I saw there was opportunity to do it different like that. I saw this brand. Let's say you have the toothpaste brand, but you saw this brand of shoes doing something extremely interesting. They're donating a pair for every pair that somebody buys, and you want to also do that in your toothpaste brand. So all those little details are gold to you. And in the next phase, when you start creating your brand, you're going to see that so much of what inspires you and what excites you came from this part of research. Okay, so there's a whole world out there for you to research. Please do it. It's so fundamental for you. You're going to understand your power. You're going to understand the true value of what you're creating. I have not met yet a brand that have started research and found out they were less than they thought. They're usually, oh my God, I couldn't see this much potential before, but now there's so much more I can do. So it's a great way of being inspired and excited and have knowledge about who you are and the world you're going to belong to. You can do this research by yourself. You can do it with your partner. You can also, if you're doing this alone and you need more support, you can present what you found out to a group of people that think are going to be a very good support group to you and to your brand. If you need my help, I'm here for you. Send me an email. I'll be more than glad to point you in the right direction, to help you see potential in what you found out or how to get started. Like I always say, this is exciting times for you. Every time you get to interact with the creation of your brand, it's a time for so much potential. Have so much fun with your research. I hope you find out great, juicy details and so much golden potential to create a brand that it's not only everything that you dreamed of, but it's everything we all dreamed of. Have fun. This was another short conversation by the Good Branding Podcast. If you need to get in contact with me, write me an email to Luana, that's Luana, at thegoodbranding.com, or check the website thegoodbranding.com. I hope to hear from you, and let's work together.